In the story today, we established this coordination system where we are basically graphing riskiness against scariness, or vice versa. I forget which one it is, but risk is going to be the x-axis and scary is the y-axis. To get things warmed up, let's cover a few examples of stuff that can belong in each of the quadrants. We're going to begin with the not risky and not scary. Here, I would put something like a little kitten or a sleeping newborn baby, or extra low-budget Halloween movies that are so bad that they have no scare factor. It's just funny. That's a nice segue into things that are scary but not risky. Here, I would put almost every spooky Halloween costume and Halloween movie and Halloween decoration. Goodness, Halloween today lives in that quarter of the graph. Really, I think a lot of people find Halloween fun because it's scary without actually exposing any of us to real risk. Halloween appeals to false evidence appearing real fears that are making us feel scared, but aren't really scary. Now let's talk about things that are scary and risky. Here's a funny example. We got another holiday coming up. It could be telling your family members who you voted for over Thanksgiving dinner. But we all know there's that one family member out there who doesn't think that's very scary and is going to tell everybody their opinion politically anyway. Another thing that might be scary and risky would be being at a really extreme height without a rail looking over the edge of a canyon. I think that would be especially true on an extra windy day. I'm a little scared of heights, and that would make my knees weak. Another thing that might fit there could be spiders, the kind of spiders that know that they're very toxic, venomous creatures that could kill you with one bite. Alternatively, I could say snakes, but why does it always have to be snakes? Lastly, there's the quadrant for things that are risky but not scary. Compared to airplanes, I would put cars more or less in this category because we're not very scared to drive cars, but we're putting our well-being at much greater risk by driving than we are flying on an airplane. In the story, this is where climbing up and down ladders on a construction site fit. If you're someone who works with a lot of power tools, maybe working with power tools without safety goggles because, it's just one cut. You've used the tool all day long. But safety goggles do genuinely protect you from undue risk. Going back to the driving without a seat belt was definitely something that would fit in this category, but I'm personally scared to drive without my seatbelt on. And maybe it's appropriate to put in this category eating an excessive amount of Halloween candy, as that much junk food is probably exposing you to undue risk with your health, but it doesn't seem very scary at first, until you get that stomach ache or need to be taken to the hospital because you went sugar coma. With the quadrants of our coordination system well established with solid examples, let's now talk about the two quadrants that are most interesting for financial purposes. And I want to begin with life insurance. Life insurance is something that we don't want to talk about because we find mortality scary, so this is going to be on the top half of the coordination system. We just don't want to address mortality. We don't want to think about it, and we're somewhat reluctant to do so, I think, because there's a little bit that's genuinely scary. However, the purpose of life insurance is to defer undue risk that exists if you don't have it. Unless you're independently wealthy and thus self-insured, if something were to happen to you and you have friends or family who are dependent on you financially, heaven forbid something happening to you exposes them to undue risk. They're going to have to find a way to make ends meet in your absence. So it's definitely riskier to not have life insurance. So while life insurance is something that's scary to talk about or think about, it's not risky at all. In fact, it takes risk away. So it's something that's scary, but not risky. Next, let's talk about investing. Investing involves putting money into the stock market or the bond market or, some sort of investment vehicle that has volatility. It's going up and down in value. You're going to see it jump and drop and jump and drop. It's an emotional roller coaster that looks terrifying. Goodness, I remember early 2020, I think it was March of 2020 when everything dropped by a third. I'm looking at my retirement stuff and I'm like, oh no, my nest egg has plummeted so much. But really, that's all it is. It's just the scare factor. See, scariness is supposed to prevent us from engaging with things that are risky, and it looks risky. But investing is way less risky than an alternative. Let's say you didn't want to invest because it was too scary for you. So instead of investing for your retirement future, you decided that you put all your money in a savings account. All the money that you would otherwise be investing, you put it in a savings account and you scrape together every dime and penny you can for a retirement and you save it away there. Well, even at a savings rate of 30% of your income over the span of 30 years, you're only going to have, 9 years of income saved up for retirement? And if it's not growing at all, well, that's all you have to live off of. You're going to only have 9 years of retirement before you run out of money. And that's not even taking into account for inflation. Talk about something that's scary and risky. Yeah, inflation can go there, but not investing is definitely risky and not scary. Alternatively, investing might be something that looks really scary, but if we understand it, if we genuinely understand it enough to make the false evidence appearing real go away and we can get over our fears, well, investing is a very low risk way for us to genuinely build wealth when we understand the plan. And if it's still something that gets to us emotionally, as long as we have experts in our back corner to help us, well, then we can mitigate the risks that exist with investing and turn it into a lower risk or negligible risk way to plan for our retirement. Now, that's not to say that there's not risky investing, but I would say if you're going really risky with your plan, you're probably speculating more and not investing. Hey, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, I'm looking at you. You guys are scary and you're risky. Yeah, there's a difference between speculating and investing. Investing involves long-term track records where you're pretty sure your money's going to go up. The point is putting money in to watch it go up. When you're speculating, you're engaging in a much higher risk activity, trying to seek a much more rapid, quick reward, but are more likely going to lose your shirt. And if you're not scared of cryptocurrency, and that puts cryptocurrency down in the not scary, it's still risky, and that means you really need to worry about it. That's one of the don't click there things. And that brings me to the last two financial products I want to bring up today. And the first one of those is going to be a buy now, pay later thing. They appear almost everywhere online. I can't get away from them. If you're doing any shopping this holiday season, you're going to see buy now, pay later offerings from almost every major retailer. And buy now, pay later programs have become incredibly popular. And, if they're becoming popular, that means those who are using them don't think that they're very scary. But buy now, pay later companies market themselves to retailers by saying, hey, did you know the average consumer is going to spend at least 40% more using our program if you offer it on your website? And it's been a little while since I've checked the stats, but I think close to half or maybe even over half of the buy now, pay later loans that were out there in the last year or two ended up having some sort of fee applied to them due to late payments or some other non-compliance with the loan. So that exposes you to undue risk. Paying fees and interest on a loan is not a frugal or efficient way to go about our holiday shopping. And to engage in a program that on average encourages us to spend up to 40% on average more than we otherwise would, while exposing us to a coin flip away from fees and interest, well, that sounds like something that's very risky to my financial well-being, even though it's not scary. And again, things that aren't scary and are risky are things we need to educate ourselves about so we can avoid them or understand them. Another one I'd put in there, and I'm going to get some flack for this, would be the credit card. Credit cards are not scary. Everybody has a credit card, but if you carry a balance on your credit card month to month, you're on average paying 19 or more percent compounded on the balance that you're carrying. And no, carrying a balance on your credit card month to month does not improve your credit score. That is some really bad advice I saw floating around the internet the other day. But the point about a credit card is it is the one financial tool that very easily enables you to outspend your income if you're not using it responsibly, if you're not running a budget, if you're not watching things with your money. And because it allows you to pay something later, just like the buy now, pay later, it actively discourages responsible budgeting. If I took your credit cards away right now, if you use credit cards and I took them away, I would imagine if you're not running a budget, you're going to get this tightening in your chest and this pressure to go pursue writing a budget and knowing how much is in your checking account because you don't want to overdraft. Well, that is a natural pressure. That is a natural fear that is encouraging responsibility. The credit card takes those feelings away from us. It gives us a comfort. It takes away fear and makes us feel safe and cozy. Meanwhile, it is psychologically encouraging us to spend more, be less responsible on the whole, and when we fall into irresponsibility, it's going to charge us out the ears. Is it possible to use credit cards responsibly and pay them off every month? Sure. I still don't think that it's worth playing with snakes, as the majority of credit card income for the credit card companies comes from interest that they charge their consumers and fees. Those who use credit cards, again, are paying the majority of the income received by the credit card industry through interest and fees. Over 50% of what credit card companies make come from irresponsibility with the credit card. I saw one study once. I said, what percentage of credit card users are actually going to always pay off their credit card every single month? And I think the number got as low as 13% if you give it a wide enough time span looking in the study. That's depressingly low. Here's a shocking fact. You don't need a credit card to survive in this world. Given the risk that they can expose me to and the way that they manipulate my psychology and the way that I relate to money, the way that they discourage me to be responsible. And again, I've experienced it firsthand. I just don't want to deal with credit cards anymore. I know that I could find some benefit by using them responsibly, getting some cash back or travel rewards, but it's just not worth it. After digging into the statistics, I got scared enough to, for me, have credit cards live in the scary and risky category, even though for the majority of us, they do live in that not scary, but risky area. As we wrap up today, please go down to the comments section if there is one on the platform that you're using to listen to the HopeFilled Financial Podcast, and give me a financial product and where it belongs on the coordination chart. And if you can't think of a financial product or system or something like that, make it something funny. What's another funny example that fits in the risky versus scary coordination system? I'm really looking forward to seeing some hopefully very practical and very funny comments. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, follow, and subscribe. And until next week, until next Tuesday, budget bravely and enjoy your hope-filled financial future. And again, happy Halloween.